Konnichiwa, y'all, and welcome to a 10 at 10. I'm Matt. I got the Oklahoma Brian with me today.
Man, it's good to be back with you, Matt. Good to see you, dude. Hope everything's been going well. I'm jumping back in some 10 at 10s. We got an exciting lineup for you today.
All right, guys, this is the 10 at 10 for June 6th of 2024. That still sounds like something way too far into the future. Doesn't sound like reality, but that's the reality we're in today. Let's talk about some cotton candy.
Man, cotton candy, another amazing variegated Japanese maple. These things are wild, man. I love the pink colors that this gets. It even transitions into the bark. That's what I really love.
Oh yeah, you get some swirling chimeral growth going on in that bark. This one is so next level. It's one of the pinkest forms of that Aridno Nishiki style variegation. Now this is actually one from the Dell Laux nursery. So you saw we did a video before kind of showcasing Dell Laux and some of his maple contributions. Shout out to Jonathan Savlich if you're watching. Cotton candy and a great introduction by those guys. Premium level pink variegation. I mean, it just really brings the pink.
I mean, those are the guys that introduced Lillian's Jewel, so they know their variegated maples. Cotton candy is no exception to that. I mean, this thing gets some crazy, crazy pink colors. I love just kind of the speckling that it gets in the leaves too. Now this is going to be those types that you can prune each spring to really encourage that variegation to continue that amazing show that this thing puts on. The leaves on this is really cool because each leaf is different. You get a little bit different style of variegation on every leaf on it. Some of them are just completely pink. Then you got some with a little pink splash, green, whites. I love it, man.
These are going to work zones 5 through 9, typically around 8 foot in 10 years. Great grower. I definitely recommend some shade in some of your hotter zones for its protection. You can get some just crazy shades of pink, especially with a little bit of morning sun, kind of pick up that premium pink color. And that's where it gets the cotton candy name, that fluffy, light, airy, white, pink look.
Yeah, really nice reds and pinks fall colors on this too. Absolutely amazing plant.
Grab you one today on the 10 at 10. All right, what do we got next coming back, guys? Looks like we have Acer palmatum Kurohime.
Oh man, this is one I love to talk about because it's one of my favorite dwarf Japanese maples. I've got a huge one of these in my garden at home, and it's always putting on a crazy show out in the garden. I love the pink colors that you can get on this. It's absolutely insane.
Now the name means dark princess or dark red princess. Tim and I just walked out of shooting kind of a Maple Masters, a Maple Mount Rushmore. I don't know if we're going to call a Maple Legends series about Masi Oceano. So he was one of the first ones we included in that. Stay tuned for that podcast. It'll be a fun one. He actually put the name on this one. He actually found the seedling and developed it as well. Kurohime, dwarf compact form, and just great tree. Now, one of my favorite times of the year for this is in summer. The whole tree will leaf out kind of a pinkish dark red, but I love when you get that emeraldy older color and then bright pink new growth going on. Yours is just starting. They'll start splashing all this little shrimp pink over top. For me, it's one of those midsummer trees that just blows me away.
Absolutely, yeah. Right now, mine's really doing that. Like you said, it just contrasts within itself so well because you have that darker green underneath and then that crazy splash of hot pink over top of that. It's one of those dwarf varieties too, so you can fit it in so many different garden spaces. That's what I love about it. I'm working in a smaller garden for me, so I love those dwarf varieties, and this is definitely one of those top. I mean, I think it's a premier top of the line when it comes to dwarf.
Absolutely love this plant, y'all. Great for the container garden or in the ground, typically 4 to 5 foot, even in 10 years. Again, another zone 5 through 9. I know you got a big one you got from us a couple years ago, and I saw some seed on it last year.
Yes.
So I have to go back and revisit that maybe a little bit. Really a fun plant though, y'all. Great fall color, orangey reds in the fall on this one, but a nice compact dwarf that'll really add a lot of intensity to your garden.
Absolutely. All right, next up we got Acer palmatum Capersi dwarf.
I got a lot of people asking about when this one was going to be back. Great colors on this one, y'all. A little bit of a reddish border on this one in the early spring. It's one of those Kiyohime forms, so it's dense and dwarf. Typically 3 to 4 feet tall, 5 to 6 feet wide even in time. I've seen a good 5-6 footer. I've got a beautiful one of these outside of Hillstone Arboretum. Now I did plant up against a rock wall, so it's kind of a half moon, so you can kind of play with the shapes a little bit. But I love this one in the container or in the ground. You know, our friend Ken Rogers says these are the perfect toadstool plants because they have that little toadstool platform shape to them.
And man, if you're into the bonsai, this is definitely one you'd want to check out. I've been doing a few bonsai at my house, and really, really cool dwarf to do that. Really, really small foliage on this. So it's going to really enhance whatever kind of bonsai style that you're going to go with it. And great branching structure too. I love just the way, like you said, it kind of a nice spreading habit to it. And could create a really cool bonsai.
They tend to be very heat tolerant. Again, zones 5 through 9, definitely shade and heavy zone 9. I've seen a full sun one of these at Sarah P. Duke right up next to a lake. So it was getting a lot of reflective heat from that lake, still looked great. It's just a beautiful overall plant. Really small foliage. I'm no bonsai expert, but the pinchback method works really nice with these. So you get some really nice looking plants. Grab you a Capercy Dwarf on the 10 at 10 today.
Capercy Dwarf.
Ooh, guys, we got a classic coming back here today. It's Acer Shirosawodum X Purple Umbrella.
Now, this is a Crispin Silva introduction. I absolutely love his cultivars. He comes up some of the coolest plants out there. Just a great kind of that Shirosawodum hybrid. You know, gets that kind of red, really dark colors out. If you give it really a good amount of sun, you can get some really dark colors on it.
I saw it. We used to use one of your pictures back in Oklahoma, this one, and it's almost black.
Yeah.
How dark it got.
Very heat tolerant.
Which really shocked me when I saw Brock Evans' photo of this in extreme shade in the spring, because it could almost look reticulated in the early spring. I was like, that can't be the same tree.
Right.
Like, I had to like put mine in similar conditions and compare. But you can get some real funky colors, especially if you keep it in shade early, then getting it in more sunlight. Purple Umbrella kind of describes the leaf shape. It's a Shirosawodum, probably X palmatum, and you get that weird kind of dark foliage, but also that kind of umbrella-like aesthetic to it.
Yeah, great form on these. Again, this is one that I grew, so it it can handle a lot of conditions out in your garden. Oklahoma is a harsh place to grow plants, but this one always seemed to thrive for me. Crispin, like I said, he's got some great cultivars, and this is no exception to that.
Now, this one as well is going to work zones 5 through 9. I'd still recommend some protection in zone 9 always. So anytime you hear me say zone 9, you got to give them some protection in that. Shirosawodums don't tend to love a lot of sun, but you're really pushing it in a zone 8 in Oklahoma. We were real impressed with its durability there. So if you kind of slowly acclimate it to more sunlight, they do pretty well. I love how dark this one gets, though. I mean, it is one of the darkest maples out there right now. Kind of reminiscent of a heavy Matzo Murray X Shirosawodum style leaf shape, and great fall colors too.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do some magic, y'all. We got the Magic Mexican Dogwood. They've changed this one around a few times. We saw a baller example of this when we went down to Maple Walk. He had a big specimen of this. Sometimes they call it Cornus pringlei now. We've always sold it as Cornus florida, subspecies urbania. So it's a native North American dogwood. But what blows everybody away about this one is the bloom. It gets that iris-like flower on it. I mean, it's got these bracts that are just insane, and I absolutely love what it can do flower-wise.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the pictures of that. It's got really different flower than what you get from a typical dogwood. It's really interesting bloom on that. And I think, with dogwoods, they add such a great texture and flowering interest out in your garden. So it plays really well with a lot of maples and things like that. So if you're looking to add something a little bit different to kind of play off some of the other plants you have in your garden, a dogwood is definitely the right choice.
Now here's a little trick, y'all. These are actually grafted to Cornus cusa. So they are Cornus florida and then a subspecies of that, but grafting them to cusa gives them a good disease-resistant rootstock, makes them an improved plant overall. Absolutely love how these are performing for us here in the South. Being the Mexican dogwood, it's very heat tolerant, but I love that flower. These are actually grafted from the one at the J.C. Ralston that has particularly great flowers and one that performs early in its flowering. This is one that I just can't say enough fun things about. They do tend to sell out quickly. We've got some great sizes in these, big size ones. I've taken these to Master Gardener conferences before and literally had people get into disputes for the last few of them. I took like 30 of them. And I thought, like, nobody's really going to be that into this. Like, just happened to be, like, the time of the year to bring them. And, oh, my gosh, like, it's rarely offered. So when it gets out there, people know this one.
Yeah, so don't wait. If you see this come up on the 10 at 10, don't wait. Get you one today.
You'll do a magic trick in your garden. All right, here's another funky one we haven't talked about in a while, y'all. This one's been gone from Mr. Maple for a hot minute, y'all. Don't confuse this one with Acer olivieranum. This one's Acer olivaceum. It's another rare Chinese maple. Some people dispute whether it's in its own category. We filmed a highlight in Dr. Criticos's garden on a beautiful specimen of this. These are grafted to palmatum, so they're closely related to Acer palmatum. One of my favorite fall color maples.
Yeah, this thing's got an amazing leaf shape on it too. I love that kind of, it's a different style of that, blend between like a palmatum and olivaceum, the olivarianum too. It just has such a different leaf to it, and a really nice dark green right now as well.
Yeah, I list these zones 5 through 9. They may be 6 through 9. We don't really know on that one. It's a very crisp leaf. I think it's often confused. A lot of people may have, this one originally was wild collected and identified as its own species, then later tucked into other categories. Now, I absolutely love this leaf shape. Either way, it's super rare to find this specific leaf morphology. The fall colors on this are super dope, y'all. I've had it be orange, reds, and yellow late into the fall. So holding that fall color, and for us in Western North Carolina, I've had this one in fall color in December. So kind of like Hot Blonde, it holds it a little later into the season. I think some future Heat Seeker series may be picked out of this Acer Olivaceum as well, because it tends to exhibit more heat tolerant qualities.
Absolutely. One we definitely need to explore and get some more cultivars of this.
I absolutely love it. Grab you an Olivaceum today. It's not one you'll see many places. Here's one I think you've grown to.
All right, next up we got Acer palmatum Sakusagata.
It's another one of those deep dark ones, y'all. I love this one. It is maybe one of the darkest maples in the garden as well. But what really sets this one out is that green veining. You get some crazy green veining on all of that. It's a photographer's dream. Yeah. You know, we don't put this one like as a reticulated in that Go Series style, but in a way it's got like that reticulated veining of that green going on that dark. It's like reverse variegation. Yeah. It's like, it's got all that dark going on the outer side of the leaf and that reticulated vein, which is prominent typically on Acer palmatum Tsushigata.
Yeah, this is a great maple to contrast. I mean, just everything about it just contrasts within itself. You got this bright green bark, real dark burgundy leaves on that. And like you said, the veining in it is really interesting. And the fall colors are kind of one of those that goes more of like the orange reds out there in the landscape. So it's got a unique fall color to it too.
Yeah, I've had it almost be brick colored some. Like it's orange, but it's a funky orange. Right. Like it's weird. It's another one of those ones that's got a real thick, durable leaf. It's been really heat tolerant for us up to zone 8. Typically in that 8 to 10 foot range in 10 years, so not a gigantic tree, but kind of right in the middle. I like to think of its growth rate kind of akin to something like Fire Glow. Super durable though, and one that you're going to love to pair with some of the lighter selections in your garden. Put this out next to some of the yellows, and you're really going to be impressed with how dark Tsushigata can make a spot in your garden. But that green veining really picks it all up. I mean, you're going to want to get out and take pictures of the subtleties to this one.
Absolutely.
Speaking of a nice yellow to pair with it, let's bring back a Talon Buchholz classic, guys. We've got Acer palmatum Yellow Threads.
Yellow Threads, man. This is a great linear lobum. I'm always looking for, something interesting that sets themselves apart in this particular category. And Yellow Threads is no exception to that, man. This thing's got some crazy neon yellow colors in the spring when this thing leaves out. It seems like the more sun you give it to, the better yellows you can get on those colors on this. So you want to kind of push that sun exposure, and you'll get better colors.
Oh, I love this one. One of my favorite things to pair this with is Punkil. You get that dark, or Hub's Red Willow. You really can't go wrong with any of your darker linear lobums. Villa Toronto. There's so many great choices. But this one kind of has that highlightery lime green yellow feel to it in the early spring. There's nothing more relaxing than linear lobulum Japanese maples. They have that bamboo aesthetic. They kind of just blow in the wind and have that romanticism of Asian gardening to them. For me, it's like the most relaxing plants. Like I get out in the garden, see a bird lighting a linear lobulum, it's like, that just takes away all your stress for the day.
Dude, I've heard you talk about that a lot, that pairing. And so at my house, I have Yellow Threads on one side of my sidewalk coming up to the house and Punkil on the other side. And it looks amazing, dude. And man, the fall color on this is crazy, crazy yellow, like this golden yellow color. Absolutely phenomenal. I took some pictures of that, and it's really, really stunning.
You got to grab one today. Some great sizes. These are in from the Buchholz farm. Some great sizes on Yellow Threads. I think you're going to want this one, especially once you see what it can bring to that spring garden.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's break it up a little bit with some icebreakers, guys, in Welsh pots.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a killer dwarf conifer, this is definitely the one for your garden. I mean, this thing is just crazy looking. The way those needles just curl up, frosted blue color on the green. I mean, it's just insane the way this thing looks.
Guys, great size plants. If you know anything about icebreakers, these are well developed. These are from our Buchholz farm. Love this one. It's a conifer you want to give a little bit more shade to in your hotter locations. The colors are so nice on this one. It's great for the small container garden or the fairy garden. You get some of the craziest, I think, variegation you'll see on any conifer anywhere on icebreaker. Sometimes referred to as Cahoots icebreaker, same plant, really brings it.
This is definitely one that's going to give you an interesting texture when it comes to dwarf conifers. I think it kind of sets itself apart. Those Korean are just crazy cultivars, and I really like the texture of that.
Yeah, these are super small, typically 2 foot by 2 foot, even in a 10-year period, so it's not something that's going to get gigantic. We have offered these before on some standards, guys, but these are low grafts, and I think you guys are going to love this one for the conifer collection. Some excellent looking shapes on these Welsh pot size icebreakers. A lot of people ask each week what Welsh pots are. They look just like 1 gallons basically for the size plant. They are a little squattier on the overall pot. They're very popular at Buckholt's farm, so he uses those a lot. Great for root development. I think you'll like what these guys bring to the table.
Yeah, great sizes on these.
All right, last but not least, we got a hot favorite coming back, y'all.
Man, this is one of the most amazing maples out there, and one of you guys' introductions. I always like to hype this one up because it lives up to the hype.
It's my favorite tree. So people ask what my favorite tree is. Well, Hot Blonde, I think, is our best introduction. Named this one after my wife, Amy, so I got some extra credit. You guys know the story there. Probably seen the video. Jim Putnam come and did a highlight on these. We've talked about them in a lot of places. Everybody told me I had to patent this one before we did. We didn't. Maybe we were goofy for that because it has been a hit, not only in its durability and heat tolerance, but also in its growth rate. This one tends to get out there, grow well over 1.5 feet of growth a year. I had a guy tagging me in a photo today in Atlanta saying, Hot Atlanta ain't got nothing for Hot Blonde. Like it brings it, and I absolutely love seeing that. It's probably the most frequently tagged I am in a photo is like, look how big my Hot Blonde is now. This thing is eating it up down here in fill in the blank, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas.
Man, this thing is super heat tolerant. That's what I love about it. I have one in my garden. I've kind of got played off the series that you got, the Hot Blonde, the Hot Tamale, and the Hot Sauce. Make a great trio out in the garden. But, I mean, Hot Blonde, I've actually got 2 of them now. I keep thinking, do I need another one over there? Need another one over there? Because it just creates some of the best colors out there. Bright golden yellows. And then the fall color is insane.
So, spoiler alert, if you hadn't watched our favorite fall color video, we did pick this for our favorite. Like, right behind it was Osakazuki. Right. And some people were calling foul on that. They were like, oh, this whole thing turned into a commercial for you. I'm like, God, all we do is a commercial for us. It's free. Right. We're talking about plants. But it wasn't for not a good reason. Like, we didn't just bump it up there just because we named it. It is one of my all-time favorite fall color maples. This one gets a fiery pink red. So not only is it a red, it's a very picked up neon pinkish red, and it holds it typically later, like that Acer olivaceum we talked about earlier. The Acer oliviarum holds it later into the season, so you'll get peak premium fall color sometimes all the way to December with us here in Western North Carolina. So it just holds on to it a little bit longer. One of the best things about this tree, and we're going to do some genetic testing on this, Acer oliviarum typically leaves out a little early in the spring. We're finding that Hot Blonde is one of the very last Japanese maples, you know, a Chinese hybrid maple, to leaf out here in Zone 6B in Western North Carolina, which is awesome because just like Emperor 1, it's missing all those frost dates. So the longer you can push that leaf out time, the more premium your foliage is going to look all season.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, you guys just recently planted a huge one of these here in the nursery landscape, and I'm so excited about seeing that thing light up in the fall. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Definitely get you a Hot Blonde.
All right, guys, that's just 10 of the 20 trees on the 10 at 10 here today. You're going to have to go check out our email to see the other secret 10. There's 10 more trees. You won't even know unless you're signed up to get our emails. We always make our emails the first notification. So if you sign up to get notified for Hot Blonde, hey, we're letting you know right now via email. That's your first notification. We'll also send out a reminder email if they don't sell out. Sometimes we send those out and they sell it in the meantime, so don't kill the messenger. We're always trying to let you guys know as quickly as we can when awesome new trees are coming back in stock.
Man, and stay tuned too, because we're always going to have some announcements of some upcoming open houses and things like that. We just had an open house about a month ago or so, and it was awesome, man. I loved and enjoyed that. All the people that came out, it was so much fun hanging out and talking plants with everybody. So
I don't know if we're going to top Talon Buckholtz. So.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard.
I mean, that was a big one. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're always trying to take it up another notch. So some upcoming things. We're thinking about potentially having one mid to late July. No date set yet, but stay tuned for previous announcements. If anybody buying plane tickets, so you can bet on Labor Day. We'll be here Labor Day.
There we go.
All right, y'all, take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.